The Galactic Trade Council chamber fell silent as High Coordinator Veltrix slammed his four-fingered hand against the crystalline table. The sound echoed through the massive room where representatives from 47 species had gathered. Every eye, sensor, and perception organ turned toward the towering Kelthari diplomat. "The vote is final," Veltrix announced, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of galactic authority. "Effective immediately, all member species are forbidden from trading with the humans of Earth. They will receive no helix fuel, no quantum processors, no medical compounds, and no navigation crystals. Let them understand their place in this galaxy." Ambassador Sarah Chun stood alone at the far end of the chamber. She was the only human present among beings who had traveled the stars for thousands of years before her species had even discovered fire. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she kept her face calm. "May I ask the duration of this embargo?" she said, her voice steady despite the fear growing inside her. Veltrix smiled, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. "Until you learn humility. Until you stop expanding so aggressively into territories that do not belong to you. Perhaps in 50 cycles, we will reconsider." 50 cycles. 50 galactic standard years. Sarah did the math quickly in her head. Without helix fuel, human ships would be stranded. Without quantum processors, their communication networks would collapse. Without medical compounds, diseases that have been cured would return. Without navigation crystals, they would be blind in space. The other ambassadors watched her with expressions ranging from pity to satisfaction. The Morvathi representative clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his kind. The Silenthi delegation remained motionless, their glass-like bodies reflecting the chamber lights. Sarah took a deep breath. "I will relay your decision to Earth." She turned and walked out of the chamber with her head held high. Behind her, the representatives began celebrating. They had finally put the troublesome humans in their place. 3 days later, Sarah stood before the United Earth Council in Geneva. The room was filled with the most powerful leaders on the planet. Presidents, prime ministers, scientists, and military commanders all listened as she delivered the news. "They have cut us off completely," she said. "Every species in the council has agreed to the embargo. We have perhaps 6 months of helix fuel reserves. After that, our ships stop flying." General Marcus Webb leaned forward. "What about black market trading? Surely some species will deal with us secretly." Sarah shook her head. "The penalties are too severe. Any species caught trading with us will face the same embargo. No one will risk it." Silence fell over the room. For a moment, it seemed like hope had abandoned humanity entirely. Then Dr. Yuki Tanaka raised her hand. She was a small woman with gray hair and eyes that sparkled with fierce intelligence. As the director of the Global Research Initiative, she had overseen humanity's greatest scientific achievements of the past 3 decades. "How long did they say? 50 cycles?" "That is correct," Sarah replied. Dr. Tanaka smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was the smile of someone who had just accepted a challenge. "Give me 1 cycle," she said. "Just 1. I will make them regret this decision." The council exchanged confused glances. 1 cycle against 50? It seemed impossible. The alien technology had taken their respective species thousands of years to develop. How could humans replicate it in a single year? But they had no other choice. The council voted unanimously to give Dr. Tanaka whatever resources she needed. What followed was the most intense year in human history. Dr. Tanaka assembled teams from every nation on Earth. She brought together physicists from China, engineers from Germany, biologists from Brazil, chemists from India, and programmers from everywhere. Language barriers fell away as translation software connected minds across the globe. The first breakthrough came in the 3rd month. A young physicist named Ahmed Hassan was studying the fundamental principles behind helix fuel when he realized something the aliens had apparently never considered. The fuel worked by manipulating quantum fields to generate thrust. But there was another way to achieve the same result. A simpler way. They built a rocket, Ahmed explained to his colleagues, his hands shaking with excitement. A very advanced rocket, yes, but still fundamentally a rocket. What if we did not push ourselves through space? What if we pulled space toward us instead? His theory led to the development of the fold drive. Unlike helix-powered engines that push ships forward, the fold drive bent space around the vessel, allowing it to essentially fall toward its destination. It was faster, more efficient, and required no alien fuel whatsoever. The first test flight took place in month 5. A small ship carrying 3 brave pilots activated the fold drive and vanished from Earth orbit. For 3 terrifying hours, Mission Control received no signal. Then the ship reappeared, this time orbiting Mars. The pilots reported that from their perspective, the journey had taken less than 2 minutes. News of the success spread like wildfire. For the first time since the embargo began, humans dared to hope. But transportation was only one problem. The medical compounds were equally critical. Without them, diseases like Kalari syndrome and void fever would return to human colonies. Dr. Maria Santos led the medical research team. She took a different approach than her colleagues in the physics department. Instead of trying to replicate alien medicines, she decided to understand why human bodies needed them in the first place. "We never evolved for space," she explained during a late-night meeting. "Our bodies are designed for Earth. The alien medicines were just patches, temporary fixes that forced our biology to cooperate with environments it was never meant to survive." Her solution was genetic modification, not the clumsy alterations that had been attempted before, but precise, targeted changes that would allow human bodies to adapt naturally to space. Within 3 months, her team had developed a gene therapy that gave humans resistance to radiation, improved oxygen efficiency, and strengthened bones against low gravity. The first volunteers received the treatment in month 8. The results exceeded all expectations. Not only did the treatment work, but the modified humans reported feeling stronger and healthier than ever before. Meanwhile, the communication problem was being solved in an unexpected way. The quantum processors used by the galactic community were expensive and complicated. They required rare materials that only existed on certain planets controlled by council members. Dr. James Okonkwo refused to accept this limitation. He spent weeks studying the principles behind quantum computing, searching for an alternative. The answer came to him while watching his daughter play with building blocks. "Redundancy," he muttered to himself. "The aliens use quantum processors because they handle information perfectly. But what if we used imperfect processors that checked each other?" His neural network array used thousands of simple processors working together. Each one made mistakes, but the mistakes were caught and corrected by the others. The result was a system that matched the performance of quantum processors at a fraction of the cost, using materials that could be found on any asteroid. The navigation crystal problem proved the most challenging. These crystals contained maps of the galaxy, constantly updated by a network of satellites and probes maintained by the Council. Without them, human ships would be flying blind. Dr. Tanaka herself took charge of this final challenge. She spent sleepless nights studying the problem, searching for a solution that seemed impossible to find. Then she remembered something from her childhood. Her grandmother had been a sailor, navigating the Pacific Ocean using only the stars, the waves, and the flight patterns of birds. No technology, no maps, just observation and intelligence. "We do not need their crystals," she announced to her team. "We will make our own maps." She launched a fleet of unmanned probes, each one equipped with advanced sensors and a full drive. The probes scattered across the galaxy, recording everything they encountered. Within 2 months, humanity had mapped more of the galaxy than the Council had explored in 10,000 years. The probes also discovered something unexpected. The galaxy was not as empty as the Council claimed. There were other species out there, species that have been excluded from the Council, species that have been waiting for someone to challenge the existing order. By the end of the cycle, everything had changed. Human ships flew faster than anything the Council had ever built. Human bodies could survive in environments that would kill other species. Human communication networks spanned distances that seemed impossible. And humanity had allies, dozens of species eager to trade and cooperate. High Coordinator Veltrix called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Trade Council. The chamber that had once celebrated humanity's downfall was now filled with fear and confusion. "This is impossible," the Morvathi representative chittered. "Our scientists say the fold drive should not work. The physics are wrong. Your physics are wrong," Ambassador Chen replied. She stood before them, now not as a supplicant but as an equal. "You spent so long perfecting your technology that you forgot to question its foundations. We had no such limitations." Veltrix struggled to maintain his composure. "Surely you understand that the embargo was meant to teach you patience. We were trying to help you develop properly. You were trying to control us," Chen said calmly. "You failed." The Silenthy representative spoke for the first time, their crystalline voice filling the chamber. "What do the humans want?" "Name your terms for rejoining the Council," Chen smiled. "We do not wish to rejoin the Council. We are forming our own alliance with species you have ignored and exploited for centuries. You are welcome to apply for membership, of course. We believe in second chances." The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time in galactic history, the Council had no response. In the years that followed, the human alliance grew rapidly. Species flocked to join an organization that valued innovation over tradition and cooperation over control. The old Council slowly crumbled as its members defected one by one. Dr. Tanaka received honors from every nation on Earth. When asked about her achievement, she always gave the same answer. "They thought our youth was a weakness. They did not understand that it was our greatest strength. We have not been doing things the same way for thousands of years. We do not know what is supposed to be impossible, so we simply do it anyway." The trade embargo that was meant to humble humanity had instead unleashed its full potential. In trying to push humans down, the Council had only made them stronger. It was a lesson that the galaxy would never forget. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, human ships continued to explore, continued to discover, continued to prove that the universe itself was not big enough to contain humanity's ambition. The stars that had once seemed so far away were now within reach. And humans were only getting started.